Hello, Abnormal Family. Got another encounter for you guys today. I hope you all enjoy it. And welcome to Friday, man. We finally made it, eh? The work week is almost over. Dropping this one for you guys. Don't forget to join us Saturday night at 9 p.m. for our live Central Standard Time. Got a pretty good show coming up. I think you all are going to enjoy it. Let's get to this encounter, guys. This occurred in eastern Kentucky, Letcher County to be exact. A bit of background info. We own right around 2 acres. This house sits at the top of a slight hill, and it's about 1,000 feet from the door to the creek. Across the creek is the Appalachian Mountains. At the base of the mountains was the old logging road grade. Me being the train fanatic I am, I've explored this bed several times, looking for old spikes and any remains that may have been left. It was ripped up over 60 years ago, so I've never found anything. That plays a vital role later in the story. In the night, you can hear the river flow, see the fireflies, but other than that, just darkness. It was July 3rd. Some cousins of mine came over, and we were shooting some store-bought fireworks. We walked about 500 feet into the yard, set up, and began about 30 minutes into shooting. We set up the mortars, 1, 2, 3, and we shot 'em off. I love mortars, they're so beautiful. Then we decided to do 5. So the first of 5 went smoothly, then our setup fell over, shooting 1 near us and 1 near our pool in the back, and 2 into the mountains around 500 feet away from us. Startled, we all cleaned up, made sure nothing caught fire, and went back in. As we approached our glass sliding door, I thought I heard something in the hills. I had heard a little sounds before, and we had had bear and coyote problems too, so I just assumed it was normal. Around an hour passed, and my cousins eventually left. We have a pool somewhat of 400 feet from the house. There's a wooden walkway that leads directly to it. We had an extension cord ran out to run the pump, and with the recent thief problems in the area, I figured we would need to bring it in just in case. As I approached the pool pump, I heard a scream that sounded like a woman. I know that panthers could, sound close to that, but I wanted to be sure. So I strolled down to the creek bank and looked around just to make sure. But as I turned to go back, I heard a splash. My head jerked back around and I caught the glimpse of something running on the old logging road bed. I scrambled on up the bank to our property and looked back, and that's when something heavy smacked me in the ankle. It was so painful and it felt kind of sharp. As heavy and painful as it was, it just didn't do as much damage as I first thought. So I sprinted backwards to the house. Within a few feet from the door, I looked back down in the slight grade toward the river bank where I seen it. A skinny, hunched-over creature with long arms and a heavy-looking head. It stood across the river, staring toward me. I couldn't see a color, just a silhouette as it swayed back and forth, watching me. I reached into the house and grabbed a flashlight and shone it back toward the creek. It wasn't quite strong enough to shine all the way to the river, but what shook me most is that it didn't seem to have eyes. It should have at least seen its glare or something, but nothing. I jumped in the house, slammed the door, shut it, locking the bars. We had to secure them tight. I couldn't sleep all night. The next morning I grabbed a blade I had made and walked down to the river. I looked around and there was no trace of anything, until we walked to where I stood at the top of the bank. I looked down at the ground, and there before my feet lay a rusty old railroad spike. As I mentioned above, I had never found a spike before. It had been decades since the railroad was even there. How did it get there? That's when I made the connection that something heavy had hit me in the ankle last night. Did the creature throw it at me? Where did it get it? How did it throw it that far? I picked it up, and then on a closer inspection I noticed a splotch of dried blood near the head. It didn't bother me. I figured it was my own. I was intrigued with what the creature really was. A few hours passed, and I stood there brainstorming what it could have been. Then it dawned on me. Whatever hit me that night never cut me. There was no blood on my ankle when it got back to the house. So, if it wasn't my blood, whose was it? To this day, I have no clue what it was that I seen that night, and it still bothers me. I mean, we went to bed one night, and my dad, he always stays up and watches TV late at night. And my dad made the comment, "I was watching TV the other night, and I know you snuck out of your room and came in here and watched me sleep." And I said, "What do you mean, watched you sleep?" He said, I was dozing in the chair watching TV, and I seen you standing outside glaring in the window at me. Nice try to scare me, though, when you put your hands on the window. But you really shouldn't do that, because you know I do keep a pistol here. I told my dad that it was not me. After that, my dad put blinds on the windows, and we were all told no practical jokes around the house. Dad carries a gun now, a .44 Magnum to be exact. What do you guys think I seen that night? Man, it's hard to tell. I would say the fireworks that you shot probably lured something up there. It probably hurt them, or you shot them up into their their territory, and you might have aggravated whatever it was because it fell over and shot up there, and it might have thought, that it was on purpose. So I don't know. I would be careful for a while until hopefully it will go back to the woods and do its own thing. But definitely, like they say, lights and trail cams, infrared lights usually keep things at bay. And I would even get some motion lights out there. But until next time, guys, keep your head on a swivel. Don't be something's dinner. And don't go out in the woods looking for it, especially at night, because it might just find you. And if all you have is a blade, it might be your last hunt.